walk into this room at your own risk, because it leads to the future. Not a future that will be, but one that might be. This is not a new world. It is simply an extension of what began in the old one. It has patterned itself after every dictator who has ever planted the ripping imprint of a boot on the pages of history since the beginning of time. It has refinements, technological advances, and a more sophisticated approach to the destruction of human freedom. But like every one of the superstates that preceded it, it has one iron rule. Logic is an enemy and truth is a menace. Any state, any entity, any ideology that fails to recognize the worth, the dignity, the rights of man, that state is obsolete. A case to be filed under M for mankind in the Twilight Zone.
Ja mensen, daar zitten we in de Twilight Zone. We are in the Twilight Zone. And we are streaming live from the beautiful Maastricht. Ja mensen, we zitten in het mooie Maastricht. En we gaan even kijken naar wat er gebeurd is in de Nederlandse politiek. So we're going to watch what happened in The Hague, where our parliament is. And there were two people talking about the Nord Stream pipeline that was sabotaged, right? And we have a clip of a politician and another politician talking about the pipeline, right? Sjoerdsma from D66, D66. So we're going to look up D66. There you go. Their Democrat Party, right? Against someone from the FVD, Forum for Democracy, FVD. There you go. So we have Sjoerdsma, who is speaking, saying that Russia may be the one who sabotaged the pipeline. And we have Pepijn van Houweling standing over there asking, why would Russia do that? Russia can just turn off the gas. So we're going to take a look at this here.
Dank u voorzitter. De heer Sjoerdsma heeft het over de aanvallen op de pijpleiding. Dat is mijn vraag. Veel experts zeggen dat Rusland daar mogelijk achter zit. En is D66 ook van mening dat Rusland wellicht achter die aanslagen zit?
Heer Sjoerdsma.
Ja, voorzitter, kijk, D66 heeft niet de middelen om eigenstandig onderzoek te doen naar die pijpleiding. We hebben helaas niet de onderwaterdrones of de inlichtingencapaciteit om dat zelf te verrichten. Tegelijkertijd zegt bijvoorbeeld een zeer belangrijke bondgenoot van Nederland in de Europese Unie en binnenkort ook in de NAVO, namelijk Zweden, dat zij wel het bewijs hebben wie dit heeft gedaan en dat het bewijs erop duidt dat Rusland dat gedaan heeft. Ik heb geen reden om daar nu aan te twijfelen.
Heer Van Houwelingen.
Dank. En wat zou dan, om daar toch even op door te gaan, wat zou het motief kunnen zijn van Rusland om zijn eigen pijpleiding op te blazen?
Heer Sjoerdsma.
Wat denkt de heer Van Houwelingen zelf?
Dat kan u.
Heer Sjoerdsma.
Nee, voorzitter, ik snap überhaupt de vraag niet. Ik snap niet wat de heer Van Houwelingen wil weten, wat het motief zou zijn van Rusland. Ik bedoel, ik kan hem vertellen wat Rusland op dit moment doet. Ze voeren een niets ontziende oorlog in Oekraïne en ze zullen er alles aan doen om diegenen die Oekraïne steunen, nou dat is uw partij niet, dus u hoeft zich geen zorgen te maken, maar diegenen die Oekraïne steunen, elk land dat Oekraïne steunt, het leven zo moeilijk mogelijk te maken. En dat kan gaan in de vorm van tegensancties, het stoppen van het leveren van gas, maar ook inderdaad het saboteren van vitale infrastructuur, of dat nu gaspijpleidingen zijn, telefonie, internetpijpleidingen. We hebben daar niet alleen nu tijdens deze oorlog, maar ook in het verleden vele malen voorbeelden van gezien. En ik weet dat de heer Van Houwelingen dat niet zoveel uitmaakt omdat zijn partij een groot voorstander is van wat Poetin op dit moment in Oekraïne allemaal doet. Maar mijn partij vindt dat zeer zorgwekkend.
De heer Van Houwelingen.
Ja, er komt dus geen antwoord. Dat is wel zorgelijk. Ik ga het nog een keer proberen. Als u gaat er nu vanuit blijkbaar dat mogelijk Rusland die aanslag heeft gepleegd. Hè? Dat blijkt dan uit het onderzoek van Zweden. Normaal als je een aanslag pleegt moet je daar een motief voor hebben. Hè? Dat is vrij gewoon. Dus mijn vraag is dus, wat zou het motief nogmaals van Rusland kunnen zijn om zijn eigen pijpleiding op te blazen? Een pijpleiding waar gas doorstroomt dat in Moskou met een druk op de knop kan worden uitgestraald. Kunt u één motief iets bedenken?
De heer Sjoerdsma.
Nou, voorzitter, als Moskou met één druk op de knop de gaskraan had kunnen dichtzetten, dan hadden ze misschien kunnen voorkomen dat er de uitstoot uit die kapotgemaakte pijplijn ter waarde van de jaarlijkse uitstoot van Denemarken nog was ontsnapt terwijl die pijplijn was geraakt. Die hadden ze dan in één keer stuk kunnen zetten. En het feit dat dat niet is gebeurd, noem ik maar als één voorbeeld, als één kleine aanwijzing voor de meneer Van Houwelingen, dat erop duidt dat Rusland erachter zit. Elk ander weldenkend land die geconfronteerd zou worden met zulke schade aan een eigen pijplijn, zoals de heer Van Houwelingen het zelf zegt, had onmiddellijk die kraan dichtgedraaid, had onmiddellijk geprobeerd secundaire schade te voorkomen. Dus laten we alsjeblieft in deze zaal dit soort verdedigingen, dit soort zoektochten, als die van de Forum voor Democratie niet al te vaak meer zien, laten we gewoon duidelijk zijn over wat hier gebeurt en ook wie op dit moment het gevaar vormt voor de veiligheid en vrijheid hier in Europa. Voor onze energievoorziening en voor de vrijheid van de mensen die hier wonen en werken.
Laatste vraag, de heer Van Houwelingen.
Ik constateer dus dat de heer Sjoerdsma geen enkel motief kan noemen. Er zat gas in die pijpleiding, er kwam er nog uit. Dat is logisch, maar natuurlijk kan Rusland die gastoevoer stopzetten. Sterker nog, D66 heeft keer op keer in debatten zoals deze gezegd van Rusland santeert ons met gas, met het afsluiten van gas. Dus u heeft er geen enkel motief kan u noemen waarom Rusland het gedaan heeft en toch gaat u ervan uit dat Rusland het gedaan heeft. Dat is absurd.
So basically we have Sjoerdsma, which is, let's see if we can, there you go. Here we have Sjoerdsma from D66, who says Russia sabotaged their own pipeline. There's a very important investigation coming out from Sweden, and they have very strong clues that Russia would sabotage their own pipeline. Ja, mensen, we hebben het zo net gezien. D66 geeft geen reden op waarom Rusland dat zou doen. Wat is het motief? What is the motive of Russia to sabotage their own pipelines? Right? And Van Houwelingen, which is the other guy, here you have him. Van Houwelingen asks Sjoerdsma, why would Russia do this? And Sjoerdsma is like, Russia wants to destabilize Europe and this and that and blah, 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 blah. So we have no fundament to question Sweden, which will be a NATO member, right? And they're also in the European Parliament. Let's not forget. So, still one big question mark, who sabotaged the pipeline? And we also talked about the Turk Stream pipeline, right? Now, Moscow says, okay, Europe, you don't want the gas and oil and stuff like that, okay, then we're going to make a deal with Turkey, right? The Turk Stream pipeline, which will go through the Black Sea. Yep. So that's on the table right now. Ja, mensen, de Turk Stream pipeline, die ligt dus op tafel. Rusland zegt van oké, Europa, jullie willen niet onderhandelen met ons, gaan wij met Turkije onderhandelen. Ja. En die pijplijn, dat gaat dan door de Zwarte Zee. Ja. Dus, so what else is going on? Let's take a look at the United Kingdom. what happened over there? Well, troubles in Parliament, right? Liz Truss faces down hostile MPs, refuses to resign. We're going to take a look at this here. But first, go back to the studio. Yep.
Prime Minister's Questions is famed as a political bear pit. And never more so than when the opposition tastes the blood of a deeply wounded leader. Liz Truss's botched mini-budget has left her twisting amidst the wreckage of her unfunded tax cuts, the UK's economy and her political future. Ready with a tally of everything she's been forced to throw overboard was leader Keir Starmer.
I've got the list here. 45p tax cut, gone. Corporation tax cut, gone. 20p tax cut, gone. 2-year energy freeze, gone. Tax-free shopping, gone. Economic credibility, gone. And her supposed best friend, the former Chancellor, he's gone as well. They're all gone. So why is she still here?
Mr. Speaker, I am a fighter and not a quitter.
The problem is,
did you guys hear that? I'm a fighter. I'm not a quitter. Ja, ik ben een vechter. Ik geef niet zomaar op. Ja. And what happened during the day? Well, Liz Truss resigns. Never trust a politician, right? If you look at Liz Truss, she's been on the left wing, she's been on the right wing, and now she's a so-called conservative, right? Yeah. Never trust a politician. So, ik heb een bericht die ik even ga lezen. Oké. Ja, dus ik geef niet op hoor, ik geef niet op. Nee. En dan, ja, ik moet toch opgeven. We gaan even een stukje dit bekijken hier. En terug naar de studio.
I came into office at a time of great economic and international instability. Families and businesses were worried about how to pay their bills. Putin's illegal war in Ukraine threatens the security of our whole continent, and our country has been held back for too long by low economic growth. I was elected by the Conservative Party with a mandate to change this. We delivered on energy bills and on cutting national insurance. And we set out a vision for a low-tax, high-growth economy that would take advantage of the freedoms of Brexit. I recognise, though, given the situation, I cannot deliver the mandate on which I was elected by the Conservative Party. I have therefore spoken to His Majesty the King to notify him that I am resigning as leader of the Conservative Party. This morning I met the chairman of the 1922 committee, Sir Graham Brady. We've agreed that there will be a leadership election to be completed within the next week. This will ensure that we remain on a path to deliver our fiscal plans and maintain our country's economic stability and national security. I will remain as Prime Minister until a successor has been chosen. Thank you.
So you can see there are bad actors. Yep. And they call themselves leaders. Slechte acteurs, mensen. Slechte acteurs. En erg triest om dit aan te zien. Sinds Engeland de enige land is in Europa, op het Europees continent, wat een eiland is, maar goed, dicht bij het Europees continent, laat het zo stellen, dan die het oudste parlement heeft. Ja, het oudst langstlopende parlement. En dan heb je dus Liz Truss. Iedereen dacht van, nou, we krijgen nou een pittige dame. Zoals de Iron Lady. Margaret Thatcher. Nee. No Margaret Thatcher there. Yep. We saw Theresa May on display, right? You know Theresa May? Yeah. People forgot about her. So we're going to take a look at what really happened in England. Let's see if we can. What really happened in the UK? Anything goes. So we're going to take a look at Paul Joseph Watson, right? And let's see what he has to say about English politics.
What some are calling a brazen globalist coup is taking place in the UK right now. Let me attempt to simplify the utter clusterfuck that we've seen unfold over the last few weeks. Now ex-Prime Minister Liz Truss, who had an approval rating of 9%, dared to introduce a mini-budget that slightly reduced taxes. For this, she was accused by the same globalists who subsequently took a wrecking ball to her government of pursuing a radical extremist right-wing agenda. Yeah, apparently cutting the top level of tax by 5%, reducing it to 2021 levels, is radical and extremist. They called it libertarian lunacy. Truss had committed the gravest of sins, spooking the financial elite and the bond markets. Oh no, not the bond markets. So the globalist establishment were perfectly fine with the Tories splurging £400 billion on COVID and furlough schemes, otherwise known as paying people to sit on their arse and do nothing. They were fine with £150 billion in energy bill subsidies. They were fine with untold billions sent to prolong a war 1,500 miles away. They were fine with sending another $25 billion down the NHS black hole. But cutting taxes by a tiny little bit, oh no, we can't have that. Earlier today, Truss was forced to announce her resignation, making her the shortest serving PM in history. The Chancellor of the Exchequer, Kwasi Kwarteng, also fell on his sword, and he was replaced by Jeremy Hunt, whose name rhymes with what he is, which is a con. Now the media is calling Hunt Britain's de facto Prime Minister. Why should that concern us? Well, Hunt is a dyed-in-the-wool globalist, an arch anti-Brexit Remainer. He's also an authoritarian nightmare, who through his connections with his wife has ties to the Chinese Communist Party. Lest we forget, it was Hunt who during the early days of lockdown actually lobbied for children to be kidnapped from their own parents and held in quarantine camps.
Jeremy contacted me as a health minister and said, you've got to speak to Matt. It was at the time the Nightingale hospitals were being built. You've got to tell him that you
Matt Hancock.
Yeah, you don't put sick people in the hospitals. You follow a zero COVID policy. My wife's family have experience of this. When someone tests positive, you take them from their home and you take them to an isolation centre and you leave them there in the isolation centre. That's the only way you can beat COVID. And I said, Jeremy, the British public will not stand for mothers and fathers and families and children being removed from their family and their home and put in isolation. And he says, who said they won't? And I said, well, the Behaviour and Insights team who I've discussed this with, they won't wear it. And he said, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Show me the evidence for that, because I don't believe it. That's the way we have to deal with this, is a zero COVID policy. Now, we would still probably be in some sort of lockdown if Jeremy Hunt had been made Prime Minister.
Look at China today.
Instead of Boris Johnson.
Yeah, that's our new de facto Prime Minister. Suella Braverman, the Home Secretary, was also ousted yesterday. Braverman actually looked like she was set to follow through on a promise to get control over our Swiss cheese borders and reverse the current policy, which allows thousands of illegal migrants arriving every day on criminal people smuggler boats, a government taxi service on shore, free cash, and free taxpayer-funded hotel accommodation. Braverman was also working on putting an end to woke policing, reversing a system in which police claim they don't have the resources to investigate burglaries, and yet have plenty of resources when it comes to harassing and arresting Brits for mean things they posted on social media. Oh no, we can't have police dealing with actual crimes, can we? She was forced to resign because, get this, she sent an email that was supposed to be sent from a government account from her personal email account. Oh no, the horror! She's gone, she's out. Replaced by Grant Shapps, another elitist lackey. As Nigel Farage explained, everything points to a globalist coup.
Hunt now has total control of the country, and what you're witnessing, and I don't like using this language, because it puts me in the realms of the sort of conspiracy theorists. This is a globalist coup. You will see, bit by bit, the levers being kicked out of the cabinet, and Suella has committed two terrible sins. The first, she dared suggest that a trade deal with India should not involve open-door immigration. Yeah. But second, and far worse, far worse, we should leave the ECHR. That is not acceptable to the globalists in any way at all. They believe in open borders, they're not bothered about the English Channel or any of that stuff. And the excuse being given, or being briefed, she broke national security by sending a text to a mate on her personal mail. Forget it.
Now this same establishment is just going to select Liz Truss's replacement and the coup will be complete. Then the globalist wing of the Tories will resume the managed decline of the country before handing the reins of power over to Labour, who are almost certain to win the next election, and will then accelerate everything bad that the Tories did to a factor of about 100. And they call this democracy. We elected Boris to get Brexit done and restore freedom and prosperity. We ended up in lockdown, our economy ruined, and a cost of living crisis, before Remainer globalists who want to reverse Brexit swept in to seize back control of the government completely.
Shat on by Tories, shovelled up by Labour.
Once again, it seems our only hope is Farage coming back to the fray to lead a Brexit Party 2.0. With this whole shit show now at least making the ground fertile for a real third party that can finally threaten to give this con lab con game a good pasting at the polls.
So there we have it. A globalist coup going on in the UK. Yeah. That is the reason, according to Paul Joseph Watson, why Liz Truss had to go. Right? Ja, mensen, zoals eerder gezegd, schaduworganisaties die dus niet blij zijn met de Brexit en die eigenlijk liever terug bij de EU willen komen, ja, die gaan dus overnemen volgens Paul Joseph Watson. En ja, daar kan ik wel enigszins achter staan, hè. Ja. Dus erg belangrijk om dat in de gaten te houden. Wat er allemaal in Engeland gebeurt. Ja. En ja, to all the people of England watching, right, Miss J and all those others, you have to do something within the political sphere, right? And fight this, fight this. You do not want your country under globalist rule. This is basically what's happening in the Netherlands and other European countries. We have globalists in power. We have a prime minister, right? Mark Rutte, who we're going to look him up, Mark Rutte, VEF. Yeah. We have a prime minister who's within the shadow groups, right? Shadow organizations, and he's like someone who makes the agenda, for these global organizations, right? So this is what's happening, people. Let's see. Go away with your cookies. Reject them. There you go. So, President, Prime Minister, and Minister of General Affairs. Yet he is someone within the World Economic Forum, right? So, also a globalist leader. This is why the Netherlands is going down the toilet. Yep. Even over here in the Netherlands, the population had to give our cabinet a report number, right? We gave a 3. A 3. Now, over there in England, you guys don't need Nigel Farage. You guys need an Oliver Cromwell, right? And a lot of English people are like, Oliver who? Oliver what? Huh? Who's that? Oliver who? Oliver Cromwell. There you go. That's what you guys need. Oliver Cromwell. All right. So we're going to take a look at who Oliver Cromwell actually was. And yeah, we're here to give history and to inform people and stuff like that. So back to the studio and cut off the mic.
Every day, thousands of people walk past the statue of Oliver Cromwell at the Houses of Parliament. He stands on a plinth, his head slightly bowed so that his gaze meets that of sightseers standing on the pavement. One hand rests on a sword, and the other is holding a Bible. The statue, by Hamo Thornycroft, has been there for 120 years, and was unveiled in 1899 with no crowd in attendance and with no fuss. But controversy had raged for years previously over whether such a statue in such a place was appropriate. So why is Oliver here? Cromwell was a minor landowner and farmer who first sat in Parliament in 1628 as MP for Huntingdon, his hometown. He was active in support of Puritanism, the movement for making the English Church more Protestant and Bible-based and less ceremonial. Beyond that, he was unremarkable in his early career. However, in 1640, he was shrewdly selected by the Puritan townspeople of Cambridge as someone who would pursue their interests vigorously at Westminster. When Parliament assembled in November that year, he immediately became noted among those opposed to the range of policies pursued by the government of the King, Charles I. In the first 2 years of this Parliament, soon to be known as the Long Parliament, Cromwell was a great networker and active in the work of opposing the King's policies. He was not within the immediate circle of the opposition leader, John Pym, but was gaining a reputation as an advocate for individuals and groups that considered themselves victims of government oppression, especially religious oppression. Cromwell's position was transformed in August 1642 by the outbreak of the Civil War between the King and Parliament. That month, he was among the first MPs to raise troops for Parliament, and 6 months later was colonel of a regiment. He had had no previous military experience, but his energy, physical courage and strategic skills, as well as his determination to defeat the King, made him a formidable soldier. During the Civil War, he was away from Parliament for long periods in campaigns against the King's army, and was quickly promoted to become Deputy Commander-in-Chief of Parliament's army in East Anglia. However, his absence did nothing to dent his growing reputation at Westminster or to prevent him from engaging in politics. As he rose in the army, he became an outstanding advocate of winning the war by military aggression and uncompromising politics. And after notable victories in the battles of Marston Moor, 1644, and Naseby, 1645, he won national fame. However, once the king had been defeated, Parliament and its army quarrelled over the future political settlement, culminating in December 1648 in the army's imprisonment of some MPs and the forced exclusion of others from Westminster. Cromwell did nothing to prevent this. When the rump of the Parliament, consisting of those MPs willing to submit to the force of the army, instigated the trial of Charles I for high treason in waging war against his kingdom, Cromwell was happy to countenance it. Indeed, he was an active enthusiast in the trial and execution of the king in January 1649, believing it to be a sign of divine approval of the parliamentary cause. As head of the army, he was effectively patron of the republic that followed, though sovereignty was vested in Parliament. He immediately turned his attention towards Catholic Ireland, which for 8 years had been in revolt against England and heavily involved in the king's intrigues against Parliament. The expeditionary force led by Cromwell crushed military resistance in Ireland and ushered in a policy of land redistribution, favouring not only Protestants already settled in Ireland, but also a wave of new English settlers. Cromwell by this time believed that God had singled out the English Puritan cause for special favour, and saw himself a specially favoured instrument in that cause. Friction between Cromwell and Parliament had long been apparent, and when after 4 years the programme of reform in Parliament ground to a halt, Cromwell intervened angrily to dissolve it, using soldiers to do so. He did not rule as a dictator, however. Within a short time he summoned an assembly dominated by men connected with Puritan churches and the army, intended to deliver on a programme of radical reform motivated by Cromwell's brand of religious zeal. When the assembly met, it adopted the title Parliament to describe itself, but it was no more successful than its predecessor. In December 1653, a disappointed Cromwell accepted the request of a majority of members that it should be dissolved. This ushered the way for a written constitution, the only time England has had one, in which Cromwell became Lord Protector.
So you see, history is repeating itself, right? Right now you have political, mashings in Downing Street, right? And the population is like not looking. And you also have King Charles, So that's what England needs, their own Cromwell. You guys do not need a monarchy, nor does the Netherlands. Ja, Nederland moet ook van de monarchie af, mensen. Ja, er is al heel wat boel geroept bij de monarchie. We're going to look at Prinsjesdag. And we're going to look at the Dutch population booing basically the king, right? So back to the studio. So for the people watching, this is Prinsjesdag. Once every Tuesday in September, the second Tuesday in September, every year there's this suitcase, right? And we have all these people in bands and carriages and golden carriages and stuff like that, and every year it's like the same. But now things have changed. If you look at the flag, right? Our flag is red, white, and blue. And now you see it turned around, right? Blue, white, and red. This is because our government is working for the World Economic Forum and not for the Dutch population, right? So you get to see all these horses and all that, you know, and a lot of people coming together. And normally it's like, hello, King, nice to see you, yay, yay. But you'll see when the king passes by, everyone shouts, boo, boo, go away. I don't know when the king, here it is. Zo, even pauze zetten. Terug naar de studio. So there we have it, right? A lot of people shouting boo, boo. And, you know, a lot of Dutch people are awake, you know. We pikken het niet. We pikken het niet dat Mark Rutte bij de World Economic Forum zit en al die andere knakworsten daar in Den Haag. We pikken het gewoon niet. Ja, Sjoerdsma moet maar met een voltallig antwoord aankomen waarom Rusland de Nord Stream pijpleiding zelf zou saboteren. Waarom doen ze dat dan? Ja? Ik kan toch wel een vraag beantwoorden, Sjoerdsma. Oh man. You see, the problem is that people do not care about politics. You know, we elect these people to make things better in our countries, and you know, they just do what they do. Give out a lot of money to Ukraine and other countries in the world, right? But especially Ukraine, because they're in a war with Russia. So, and that's the only focus that people have, right? Blame Putin. Putin this, Putin that, Putin, oh, Putin, Putin, oh, Putin. What about the coup government in Myanmar, right? What about those guys? You know, the army is in power in Myanmar, shooting their own population. Putin is the bad guy. What about Libya, right? Anyone look at Libya after Obama bombed the hell out of that country, right? I don't think so. Echt wat een wereldleven. What about Afghanistan? Wat dacht je van Afghanistan? We hebben 20 jaar daar gezeten. Ja? En we gaan gewoon weg. Ja, bij vlagen van de nacht gaan we gewoon weg. Hup, doei. Er zijn nog steeds Nederlandse mensen daar in Afghanistan. Onder leiding van de Taliban. Onvoorstelbaar. En wat doet onze regering? Niks. Geeft alleen maar Rusland de schuld. Echt heel, heel erg triest wat hier allemaal gebeurt in de wereld. Our cabinet was watching a movie. Really, they were watching a movie, and other people of the cabinet went out to dinner, whilst the Taliban was invading their, Kabul, their capital city. Very, very sad to see. And oh man, look at Pakistan, right? It's right next to Afghanistan. Now, Pakistan had their own prime minister, and he was removed by parliament, and now you have the brother of a former prime minister in power, right? Now, look at Sri Lanka. What happened over there? Revolution in Sri Lanka, right? The leader was ousted, and people took over the presidential palace and stuff like that. We showed it on RHTVLive, and now you have the prime minister, who's now president, who appointed someone as prime minister from his own cabinet. It's like, what? Nothing has changed in Sri Lanka. This is why people, they don't understand the power structure, right? Mensen snappen het machtsstructuur niet. Ja, en zo verandert er ook niks. Ja? Kijk, je hebt dus een regering. En die regering die wordt dan bestuurd. Ja, niet alleen door politici en zoiets, maar ook door schaduwlobbygroepen. Ja, World Economic Forum, Bilderberg, Trilateral Commission, Council on Foreign Relations. Ja, dat zijn schaduwlobbygroepen. Nou, die hebben dus ook macht binnen ons parlement. Kan toch niet zo moeilijk zijn? Dit is geen complottheorie of zo. Nee, dit zijn feiten. Feiten waar ik het over heb. Ja? Ik zeg niet dat Rusland zo'n geweldig land is. Dat hoor je mij ook niet zeggen. Ja? Die hebben daar een absolute macht. Ja. Ja, en onlangs, ook al een paar jaar geleden, heeft Poetin de macht gegeven aan het parlement. Ja. Dan zitten wij hier in Nederland te zeggen van, ja, maar in het parlement daar heb je allemaal vriendjes van Poetin en dit en dat. En, ja, klopt ook wel. Ja, klopt ook wel enigszins. Ja. Je hebt daar nog steeds de communistische partij, hoor. Daar kun je nog steeds op stemmen. Serieus. Wat dat betreft zijn ze vrijer dan hier. Ja. Maar ja, oppositie geven aan Poetin. Ja. Ik weet niet hoe het nu de vlag ervoor hangt. Maar meestal met een oorlog. Ja, dan moet je ook voor die oorlog zijn. En ik ben niet voor oorlog. Ik wil vrede. Ik wil gewoon vrede. Kijk, en heel veel mensen zeggen van ja, maar dan moet je ook Rusland de schuld geven, hè, aan de interventie in Oekraïne. Nee, ik geef Amerika de schuld aan de interventie in Irak. Ja, Amerika ging op het hoogste niveau, hè, de VN, hebben ze gezegd van nou, Saddam Hussein heeft massavernietigingswapens. En dit en dat. En banden met Al-Qaeda. Bleek helemaal niks voor waar te zijn. Niks was waar. Niks. Afghanistan hetzelfde. Oh, we moeten de Taliban aanpakken hoor. Ja hoor. Nou, in 2001 had je dus de Noordelijke Alliantie, die vroeg Amerika om hulp. Ja. Zo van, hey, kunnen jullie niet even wat wapens gaan sturen, hè? En zoiets. Nou, want die waren tegen de Taliban aan het strijden. Ja. Nou, had je nog een machtsstrijd daar zo. Nou, wat gebeurt er? Wat is er ook weer in 2001 gebeurd? Wat is er ook weer gebeurd? Nou, we gaan eventjes kijken naar wat er ook weer gebeurde op 11 september 2001. Zo. Wat was er ook weer gebeurd? Oh ja, die torens die werden aangevallen. Oh ja, er gebeurt zoveel. Ja. Maar goed, torens worden aangevallen. Wie had het ook weer gedaan? Al-Qaeda. Hé, maar zat Al-Qaeda niet in Afghanistan? Nadat de Mujahideen uit elkaar viel? Vaak uitgelegd, hè? Er gebeurt heel veel achter de schermen. 19 van de 20 kapers die kwamen dus vanuit Saoedi-Arabië. Nou, daar heeft Irak toch helemaal niks mee te maken. Ja, wat een wereld is het. Wat een wereld. Maar ja, goed, dit gebeurt wel. Ja, dus dat neem ik Amerika, zeg ik voor jullie zijn fout hierin. Jullie zijn fout hierin. Ten eerste heb je zelf de aanslagen beraamd. Dat weten we inmiddels na zoveel jaar. Dat is geen complottheorie. Heel veel mensen willen dat schrijven als complottheorie. Want die willen niet gaan geloven dat hun eigen regering aanslagen op hun bevolking pleegt. Nou ja, wat is dan operatie Northwoods ook alweer? Operatie Northwoods. Zo. Operation Northwoods. Never forget, people, never forget. Never ever forget, government is not your friend. Operation Northwoods is een samensweringsplan uit 1962 van de Amerikaanse overheid tot terroristische operaties onder een valse vlag. Ja. Het plan voorzag in het doden van onschuldige mensen en het plegen van terroristische acties in Amerikaanse steden door de CIA of andere Amerikaanse overheidsdiensten om hiermee publieke steun te vergaren voor een oorlog tegen het door Fidel Castro geleide Cuba. Ja. False flags. Ja. Maar ja, goed. Als je dat op tafel legt binnen de Tweede Kamer, nee, dat is een rare complottheorie, samensweringstheorie. Nou, Thierry, ik heb een uitdaging voor jou. Mocht je meekijken, de FVD. Laat dit zien aan Rutte en het rest van het parlement. Ja, als je het parlement weer in mag. Dus, dit zijn declassified documenten om valse vlag aanvallen te gaan plegen, om anderen de schuld te geven, om een interventie te kunnen doen. Zoals in Irak is gebeurd. Ja. Dus, al heel vaak aangegeven bij RHTVLive, we will never forget Operation Northwoods, right? Declassified documents to do terroristic attacks within the United States, to blame it on Cuba, to intervene Cuba, right? To get rid of Fidel Castro. So we will never forget this. You know, it was an inside job. People within the government within the Bush government, the neoconservatives, right, or war hawks, neocons, they made a plan to attack the World Trade Center, right? And it's up to you, American people, to find out what really happened. What really happened during 9/11. And people just don't look at politics. They're like, oh, I don't care. Oh, Patriot Act, yeah, that sounds American. Yep. And, NSA spying, FBI spying, all these agencies spying and stuff like that. It's amazing. It really is amazing. And now they know that we know what they were doing in recent history, right? So what are we going to do about it? We are led by monsters, right? People say, oh, I go to church and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, right. Yeah. You go to church and then you get this meeting card, right? Let's go to the Bohemian Grove. Yeah, let's do that, huh? Let's do that. Let's talk about the atomic bomb and stuff like that. Let's worship Moloch, right? Let's do a mock sacrifice and worship a statue, an owl, and oh Moloch, thank you for absolving my sins. Thank you. Oh, I go to church. Yep, I believe in God. Yeah, right. You're a bad actor. That's what you are. Right? We see through you, Schuurtsma. We see through you, Liz Trust. We see through all these politicians. You're bad actors. Right? Now I ask the population, what are we going to do about this? It's up to you. So, I thank you all for watching RHTVLive. We will be back tomorrow, I guess. Even though I have a lot of stuff to do tomorrow. Got a birthday party to go to and stuff. So, morgen zijn we er weer. Verjaardagsfeestje eerst. Dus ik weet niet hoe laat we live gaan. Maar we geven het nieuws. En we laten zien wat er allemaal in de wereld gebeurt. En ze willen dat ons licht gedoofd is. En het is ook goed gedoofd hoor. Het is ook goed gedoofd. Maar deze licht in Maastricht blijft aan. Kom maar Mark. Kom maar naar Maastricht toe. Gaan we eens even praten. Ik dank jullie allen voor het kijken. Dank jullie allen voor het delen. Jullie zijn het licht. Laat het licht niet doven in dit land. Deze blijft in ieder geval aan.